So we saw, what did we saw? How do you create a class? Okay, so now I'm going to create a new package for today. And we'll take a deep dive into methods of a class and constructor, and then we'll see inheritance. So this is done day 05. I replied to your email if you, so whoever emailed me, I already replied actually. Like, how do you get the videos? If you didn't send me an email, just check out once, okay? Didn't get a reply? Okay, I'll check that. See, I don't have videos access directly, okay? You have to go through Coding Kings only. But how do we connect to Coding Kings? I replied that only. So if you already have the connect with them, connect with Coding Kings basically, administration team, they will be able to access, they will be able to give you the cloud link of videos. They're uploading it on daily basis, okay? So what I'm going to give you is a facilitator's email ID, okay, or administrator's email ID, and then you can take it forward with them. Do that. Awesome. So what are we trying to do actually? What we did up to this point? So we created a class system. Okay, is there any question? That's my email address. Yes, that's my email address. So is there any question on class creation? Like we created a class yesterday, customer file like this. We're gonna do that today also. We'll create a class and we'll take forward our discussion. So we created a class here. We created two variables of the class. We defined a method into it, and we created instantiation. That this way, this is called as instantiation of a class. So whenever you create an object of a class, it's called instance. And we called variables and methods of a class. So we are taking the things forward from here. Although I'm going to do the same stuff again. So I'll be creating a class. This time I'm going to create an employee class. So this is like an employee file. Python actually do not have any relation with your file name and class name. Okay, so it's completely okay to name your file with your own name, and class can be a completely different. That's completely fine. Okay, so don't hesitate to put your file names relevant to what business you are going to do, and class names again depending on like what kind of functionality you are writing. So I'm writing a class which is employee class, and in that we already saw that we have some kind of variables and functions. Let's write a simple variable. So here I'm just writing emp underscore id, and I'm assigning a value to it, 1001 maybe, and emp underscore department, and by default is consultancy. Okay, so this is a consulting firm, and I'm having consultancy here. Now you can actually define a function. So function of employee is basically process salary. So that's a direct thing we are working, and then we are just printing here that salary of employee is processed. Okay, suppose you are taking a parameter here, you can take a parameter for sure. Suppose you are taking a parameter, let's say employee and ID here. So what you can do is you can reassign your employee ID. Okay, how do I do that? So you will be able to access this employee ID with the help of self parameter. So self dot, and you see employee ID equals employee ID. That's possible. So how do you access the variables which are declared outside this? With the help of self. So what is self? I will take a quick introduction to self now. So self is nothing but an instance itself. Okay. So the instance of the class itself is basically passed to this particular method, and that's why the variable is accessed to the instance. Okay. So that's why whatever you are passing here will be assigned here. And now you are saying that, okay, this particular salary is processed for self.employee ID. You do that. So that's the method. Now let's call this. Let's create a emp1 equals employee, and let's say emp1 dot process salary, and you are passing 1002. And let's run this method. So you'll see salary of employee process 1002. Okay, so we saw this. Up to this point, we saw all this. Correct? So here the self is basically emp1. Remember that. Self is basically emp1. Okay. So who is creating this self? Who is creating the instance? The instance is created by this particular call, employee, and you have parenthesis in front of it. So what does really mean? It looks like a method, but it doesn't actually, there is no method of that name. But actually, this is a method, and this method is called as constructor or initializer. Both the words are popular. Initializer or constructor. What it does is, it actually, whatever it says, it initializes that particular class or it constructs that particular class. Cool with that? So constructor actually creates, I will not say create, but it initializes the instance of that particular class. But where is that constructor? You don't have it. So how do you define that constructor in the class? So you do that with the help of special functions. In Python classes, the functions which are starting with double underscore are called as special functions, and they have meaning. Okay, they have different meanings to it. We're going to take a deep dive when we will see object and the special functions in detail. But today we're going to learn one of the special function called as init. So init function is nothing but a constructor. So here I'm defining a function. I'm saying underscore underscore, and you can see that this is predefined function. Okay, this is predefined because even if you did not define a constructor, you were still able to create an object. That means this function already exists for you. And where did it exist? In the, so compiler provider or interpreter provided for free. But now you are defining it of your own. So you are defining def underscore underscore init. So when you do that, this particular function will get called. So print, and I'm saying employee is created. Okay. So every time whenever I'm calling employee1 equals to employee, rather every time I'm creating a new object of employee, I will be calling this init method. As a matter of fact, this and this is exactly the same. Okay. So this one is nothing but initialization of that employee. Well, with this, now remember, init also takes self. So definitely there is somebody else who is actually creating the instance for you. Init is not creating instance for you. So unlike other programming languages, constructor is not responsible for constructing, initializing an object in Python. There is somebody else. We're going to learn that when we learn static methods. Okay. So as of now, remember this: the init function nothing but this particular function call. So can I prove my point? So let's go ahead and call the method again. You say employees is created. Now, if I call it multiple times, so suppose I'm saying emp2 equals to employee. So that means I'm creating two instances. So that means this particular method will get called twice. This employee is created, twice. So no matter how many times you call init, no matter how many objects you created, that many times you're gonna get init called. So with this, so what is the function of this init? So you can initialize your variables here. You don't have to hard code it here. Okay. So now you can take a parameter from the function itself. So you can take it like emp id here and emp department here. Okay, and what you can do is you can define those self dot emp id equals emp id. So you don't hard code the stuff, and self dot emp department equals to employee department. But with this, now you know what? You'll be surprised to see this, but you don't actually need this anymore. Don't need this anymore because you define it in constructor itself. These ones are already defined for the object. You don't have to define it anywhere else. Okay. When you allocate any variable with self within the method, then it will automatically attach to the self and you will be accessed it as good as it's available for you. We'll do that. So now I can create an employee class with the help of employee number, let's say 1001, and saying department is consultancy. Okay, and employee 2, say 2001, and department is sales. So with that, and you can also print this like, okay, this employee is created, self dot employee ID and self dot employee department, and run now. So you can see that employee is created with this and employee created 2001 sales. So two different employee got created. Cool with that. And now you do not need this particular employee ID variable anymore because you already attached that employee ID to yourself. Cool with that. So you don't need this parameter anymore. You can directly call employee1.process salary and you will get the same employee ID, that is 1001, and salary will be processed for you. Same thing what happens with employee 2 also. So employee 2 dot process salary and employee 2 will get 2001 here. Let's see if it works that way. See this salary of employees processed 2001. Okay. Any questions on constructors? Constructors or initializers is definitely defined init. Okay, it's a special function. All double underscores are special functions. We'll have a separate topic of that. Questions on this? All good up to this point? No, I'm going to surprise you with something. Okay, I'll be surprising you with something now, and that is I'm going to check the type of the method here and type of the method which we are using for the normal functions. Okay, so in functions deep dive, we have created lot of functions like say hello, validate, address validations. Okay, or we have this Python functions, right? So we have addition, say hello again. So we did this yesterday. We created addition function, validation function. So let's do one thing. Okay, what I will do is I will check type of, so print type, and type of what? Type of addition. I'm not passing the parenthesis. I'm checking type of addition. What is addition basically? So run this now, and what you get is a class function. So class function. So remember that when I'm defining a function, when I'm defining a method inside a structural Python program without a class, I am saying that even the method is also object of a class. It's a class. Okay, so addition is also class of the class function. Okay, addition is also an instance of a class function. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the method inside a class. So here process salary is method inside a class. So here you go. What I'm going to do is print, say type of, say emp2 dot process salary. I'm not going to call parenthesis anymore, and just go ahead and check this. So you'll see method. What was that earlier? It was function. What is this? This is method. So very common interview questions. What is the difference between method and the function? So function and method are logically same entities, but in Python, the method is a part of class. Function is a part of structural Python program or procedural Python program. Is that clear? Logically, they are same, okay, but methods are attached to the object. Functions are independent. With that, because while calling addition, I did not say anything. Here though, I'm saying employee2 dot process salary because I will be able to access this particular function only when I have object because they are attached inside a class. They're encapsulated within, that is a proper word actually. Object oriented word, they're encapsulated within a class. Is this clear? So this is what this is. I'm just using hash. This is very common interview question. Class method, and here was class function. Good with that? Now I'll tell you one important thing. Functions in Python are first class members. What does that really mean? Python treats functions very respectfully, very respectfully. So now let's go ahead and try this. So I'll say function advanced, and we're gonna do some weird stuff here in function advanced. What I'm going to do, I just wrote a function called a shout. Shout, take a text. Okay, whatever text you're passing, I'm going to return it. So return, and I will do text dot upper. If you don't see the method, just convert into string, pass it to, because Python doesn't know, right, you're actually using a string or not. So it will not give you methods. Now you will get a method here. So you can just say upper. So you are returning an uppercase characters out of shout. So if I'm calling this, how will call it? I'll say shout. Okay, this is me, calling this particular method, and you print it. Because it's returning, so what will happen? You'll get the shout and it will get converted into an uppercase. Is it though? This is me. It's uppercase now. Cool with that? What's wrong in this method? Now I'm doing some magic here. As Python methods, or sorry, Python functions are first class members, means they are instance of certain classes. Correct? If they are instance, then I should be able to assign some variable to it. Can I? Can I? So let's try. So shout, I'm assigning to test underscore variable, or test method equals shout. And I'm not calling any, what I can say, I'm not calling this parenthesis on it. I'm just assigning method equals to shout. Okay. So if Python treats shout as an object, then test method should be a method now. Correct? Test, I'll change it to test function. Test function should be a function now. Okay, is it though? Sorry. What's going on? So now I have to test function. So let me test it with the help of print. And instead of shout, I'll say test function. This is test. I'm passing this. This is test. And test function should act as a function because you are assigning this. Let's see. And you got that. Got it? Because Python treats method or function is instance of class function. Good with that? And you're just assigning one function to another. As a matter of fact, you can even return a function from a function. Can you imagine that? Return a function from a function. Can we complicate that? Yes, we can. So let's do it. So suppose I'm defining a function, and this is a little bit mind twisting. So let's say I'm creating calculator, okay, which is taking, let's say, what operation you are doing and a number. Good with that? Now what I will do is I'll just assigning what you can say function name. Function underscore name equals none. None is nothing. Okay, we'll use this variable later. Now what I'm saying is, if, wait a second, I will define two functions within that functions. Okay, see this function square. Okay, let's take the number. You don't have to actually, because by default it's already there for you. Function number, and what you do, you return number multiplied by number. That's a square for you. You define another function. Define cube. Then you are returning number into number into number. Isn't that amazing? Now you do what? So now I will write a condition. If operation is equals to, you say square, you return square. Function. Okay, rather you say function name equals to, don't return anything. You just say function name equals to square. No brackets. Else, say function name equals to cube. Okay, and you finally return function name. Isn't that amazing? So what did I just do? I wrote a calculator. Okay, I created a function name variable, and this particular calculator will actually return a function to me. Good with that? Function basically. Now I have two functions within one function, square function and cube function. Now depending on operation, I will use that particular function. Good with that? Shall we try this? Let's go ahead and try. So this is try underscore square equals calculator. You are passing square to it and passing 5. Good with that? So what will calculator return? It will return a function. It will return a function which is square. So I can call try square now. Okay. So now what I should do? Try square and you call. And by the way, you are not going to get a direct value because you are not printing it. So print it. So this is square equals to, okay, or print the value directly. I'll take this example again. I know you might be confused here. Here you go. And if I run this, you'll see square 25. Square 25. Okay, shall we try cube? Cube. So how do you do that? You say, sorry, you have to add this variable. So try cube. And you pass cube here. Okay, and calculator will return the function for cube and you will execute that. So run this, we'll say cube is 125. So let's take a deep dive. Calculator function, you define two functions within function. So it is possible in Python to define a function within a function. It's completely okay. And then you are returning a function again. Okay, you're not calling that function, you're returning a function. Okay, and then you are using it as if this is the try square itself is a function. It's a little hard to understand. Take some time, try to get it, try to understand it thoroughly. Let me know if you have any questions. What is try? Just like that. It's not, it's nothing. I just gave a name. It's just simply a name. Okay. Take a look at it. What exactly we did, how exactly we did. All good? So functions have this complex structure in Python. Got it? Okay. We're gonna see amazing things in classes also. So classes are also helping each other, just like functions helping each other, one function adding into another and all those. Classes also do that. Okay, and we are going to understand a parent-child relationship today. It's called as inheritance. Look at this. One more thing I have to tell you. Okay, sorry, I missed that part. Is like, okay, so suppose there is a variable. Take another. Let me write a simple code. Let's not bombard everything in a single class. Okay, so let's write a simple code again. And I'll just write a global scope. I have to tell you this. Suppose there is a variable, let's say a message equals howdy. Do you know what is howdy? In US there are some parts, okay, basically like Texas and all. Instead of saying how are you, they say howdy. Anyway, so DEF, and then you are saying say hello. Just for the sake of example, you are taking this. Uh, Now in say hello function, what I have to do is I'm again defining a variable called message equals to I say namaste and say print message. Now you guys tell me, when I call say hello, which message will get printed? Howdy or namaste? What is your answer? Which message get printed? Howdy or namaste? You type that. And one more question. If I print message, now which message is getting printed? Getting my point, right? So here this is from say hello method. Okay, so say hello method, which message will be printed, and by default if I call message, then which message is getting printed. So let's see. No responses today. Are you able to understand or not? So I'm printing global scope and see now. So say hello method will print namaste. But when I say print message, I'm saying howdy. Got it? What exactly happened? So message is namaste. We printed that message here. But when I print a message here, it's still looking at this. Because this is in global scope. The variables declared in a procedure scope are in global scope. Okay, and this is local scope. These are local variables. These are called as local variables. Okay, now the problem is I was not supposed to do that. What I really wanted is I want to change the message which is in global scope. I wanted to change that message howdy to namaste. How do I do that? That's the problem. Because even if I'm using the exact same variable, it's not updating the global variable. Correct? So I have no direct access to my global variable. Yes or no? Yes, I'm not able to update it. How do I update that? So you update that with the help of a keyword. Okay, what you do here is you say global and you say message. So whatever variable you want to update, you say global in front of that. So whenever I start the method, I will declare global message or global variables. What happens is, because you define that global, it will be available inside the method itself. So with that, so like Perl, I have no idea about Perl. Okay. So now look at the message. So now you got a howdy, right? Now look at the message again. So it is namaste. So you updated your global variable. Okay. So this one was pending for your method. So if method needs an access of a global variable, you use global in front of that. Cool with this? Okay. So that is about your functions. global variables, advanced functions. Okay, we learned that. Now we're gonna take a deep dive into inheritance. What is inheritance actually? Inheritance is parent-child relationship. Which means what? So your child automatically gets the properties of a parent. So people who are new to object-oriented programming, just listen to me for 5 minutes properly and try to understand the concept. Okay, so let's go to our drawing, whatever we did for DMART yesterday. Now that's fine. So now you remember in 90s, I don't know how many of you born at that time. In 90s, there used to be a phone. Before 90s, okay, in movies might have you might have saw that there is a phone which has a receiver, okay, and then it has a box, okay, you keep that receiver here, all those, so, right? So that kind of phone which has a ringer on it, okay, dial ringer. Have you seen that phone? Okay, and it has something like this. So this kind of phone, which is wired connected. This is like 1980s, 1989 up to 1999. Okay, such kind of phones were exist. Okay, and then button phones were also there. Fine. So anyway, so what was the purpose of these phones, by the way? The only purpose of these phones is connect from A to B. You have a number of B, you call him, you get connected, you talk, you are done. Good. In 90s era, like by 2000 and all, you got first models of this mobile phones which used to have the small antenna here. I'm not talking about Nokia 1100 yet. Okay, I'm still talking about some satellite phones here. Okay, so this guy has a facility of sending a page. We at that time we were not calling it as a SMS, and these devices are also called as pagers. You might not know about that. Anybody here know about pagers? Pagers were devices which can send messages, and you used to call, obviously. So with that, later you got a phone which is like Nokia 1100, 2300 kind of phones. Okay, which has only one game called as Snake. Okay, it has games in it. It has ringtones in it. Anybody from that generation? Okay, ringtones in it and all those, and it has a very small display here, buttons here. Okay, and this is like year 2002, 2005, okay, or 2007, I guess. And then better phones came. Okay, still okay, still you are using this kind of phones, right? Okay, so what is the purpose of this phone then? This can send the messages, but it can connect to A to B, right? Okay, done. This phone, this you can play games, you can set ringtones, but you can still send SMS, right? You can still connect from A to B, right? And now just skip few generations, and now you have this amazing iPhone 12, iPhone 11 kind of phones. It has three cameras, Facebook, WhatsApp, whatnot, right? Everything is available, entire world. This iPhone chip is more powerful than Apollo 13, Apollo 11, which actually landed on moon. Can you imagine that? It has more power than that. So such a powerful device. So all these are basically generations of a phone. Now answer me one question. Does this remove the functionality of connecting to A to B? Any of the generation removes the functionality of connecting to A to B? No, because that's what make it as a phone. Otherwise, it's basically a laptop. It basically has all the processing power of a laptop. Back in 2000, our laptop were not at that awesome, but today's iPhone is awesome than that. Okay, does it remove the SMS functionality? No. Does it work outside? Yes. Does it have internet? Yes. All those things which are taken from the parent are basically as it is. So you can see the generations. You can dial the number, connect to A to B, basic availability for the parent, and in child, every single time new functionality got added, but never removed the functionality of connecting to A to B. So this kind of feature is called as inheritance. So what is inheritance? Inheritance is taking the properties of the parent but adding your own as well. Okay, add your own. Just like you inherited from your grandparents, parents, you might not know, but your nose might be coming from your grandparents, your eyes might be coming from your maternal grandparents. It's completely inheritance. So human race itself is comprised of inheritance. Yes or no? So that exactly actually happens in object oriented programming also. So what kind of inheritance we are talking about here? Let's take a simpler example. So now suppose I'm telling you that there, okay, so can you give me some examples? Like I'm telling you a car, so what can be inheritance created here for a car? So child class or child of a car can be, let's say I'm giving an example now and you can actually derive your own. So suppose I'm talking about luxury cars. Okay, in that I have two modules. Okay, probably in luxury cars I have long sedans, okay, or caravans, correct? In sedans also, I have premium sedan, normal sedan, right? So premium, okay, normal. Like it's Mercedes S class, maybe a normal sedan, okay. Audi A8 might be a premium sedan, kind of that. Getting the point? This is a hierarchy. Now, no matter which car you take, all of them have four wheels, one steering wheel, brake pedals, engine, okay, and ultimately they go from point A to point B, right? So basically they are car, right? So whatever car you take out of this entire luxury, okay, luxury car segment, ultimately they go one from point A to point B. Got it? Even WagonR does that. Getting my point? So that is basically a hierarchy or inheritance. Now can you give me another example in inheritance from your side? Where exactly you observe inheritance? Any example? Let me check your understanding. Anyone? Nothing? Think about it. Education is an inheritance. Let's consider education as a parent class. Parent. Then what is a child? Think simpler. Think simpler. Does food has inheritance into it? Think about it. I will leave it up to you. Okay, there are many examples like that. Okay, yes, televisions can be, yes, your TV. Then you have the basic CRT TV, correct? Then you have LCDs. Then you have LEDs. Getting my point? Very good. Copy, book. Yes, all these things are good examples of what? Inheritance. And with that, so to take this forward, okay, take it as a homework. Think about like examples about, yes, pen can be anything is fine. Okay, luxury pens. Okay, fine, absolutely. So these are all different examples. Now, when exactly I used it in a personal business case scenario. Now coming back to a retail example, we have a customer which is walking to the store, right? Yesterday we took that example. Now we are taking the same case study and we are taking it forward. So with this, so let's take this. What we are going to do is the customer is basically walking to the store. Now, whenever a customer walks into the store, this is a normal customer. Okay. So what happens in, let's say, this is a Star Bazaar. Now today we will take Tata Star Bazaar. Now, whenever customer walks into the billing counter, do you know that customer has this all, yeah, awesome stuff like age, gender, okay, and area of interest, okay, then address, all cool stuff. Okay, nothing to worry on that. Email, but obviously he will not give you email for free. So when he walks to the billing counter, that store manager asks, that store person asks him about more details, and he is interested in any loyalty points. And what he has to do is he just have to subscribe, okay, and he give the what basically give WhatsApp number and email address, and suddenly this customer becomes a preferred customer. preferred customer. Now preferred customer has additional input, which is WhatsApp number and email address, correct? But it still has a gender, area, card, and is still gonna purchase, correct? Still purchase. This customer was also purchasing, this also purchases, correct? Now this customer has he has a discount method, and he don't get any discount in here, zero discount. This customer, loyalty customer, has a discount method, and this discount is 3% because he's a preferred customer. Now you brought few items as a preferred customer. Now one day you again walked in the store, and the store manager again said, okay, if you apply for Tata credit card, you will get 5% discount every single time, and you become a credit card customer, and you also get some loyalty benefits and all those things. So now you again you applied for that, and you become what? A credit card customer. Okay, credit card customer. What additional details required? Of course, you need your PAN card number, Aadhaar number, salary slip, all those things. And you got a credit card, and after that, your discount. You still have a discount method. Now your discount is 5%. Isn't it awesome? And you still purchase, and you still have more loyalty. So every purchase, you will actually have a loyalty logic, because every purchase add loyalty points for you. So with this, now you still have purchase method, but in purchase method, you have loyalty logic attached. You're getting this point. This is kind of a hierarchy in real business scenario. When you do for the job, when you go for a job, this is where the real differentiation happens between you and the normal people who are applying with A plus B and matrix addition and matrix multiplication kind of programs. You know this. You know practical programming. That's what the differentiation happens. So let's create this one, this structure with a proper use case. So now we're going to create Star Bazaar customer. So with that, and now let's start coding. So the first thing is class. Now I'm going to start coding, and then as and when you, what is this? My calculator started. Okay, as and when you face a difficulty, let me know. So we are creating a customer class, customer. I'll have init method, so define underscore init method. The customer, I take only two parameters, age and gender, because that's a visible thing to me, correct? I'll say self.age equals age and self.gender equals gender. Remember that I have not interacted with the customer yet, so I'm printing this is normal customer or customer init with that, and you are just printing self.age and self.gender with this, and you have discount method, so discount and you print no discount or normal customers. Clear? So this is normal customer. Now, how do I create an inheritance? How do I create an inheritance, and how do I create a new customer which will take all these properties and take it forward, a child of this particular class? Okay, so the customer class becomes a parent class, and your preferred customer class, preferred customer, becomes a child class of that. And for Python, to create a child class, you do one thing. You define a class, and in the bracket, you define your parent class. So this is my parent class. Okay. What's the benefit of doing that? So suppose you don't want to actually declare anything, you just type pass. And you know what? Now you have a customer, CUST, You can create a customer instance, definitely. Okay, CUST dot, and you have discount. Cool with that. But you can also create a preferred customer instance also. So see this, I say pcust equals preferred customer, customer mouse has some trouble. Okay, preferred customer, and now see the magic. When I say pcust, I say dot, see the properties. I'm able to access age, gender, and discount method because these are declared in customer, and customer is a parent class. So variables and methods basically accessible through parent class. Okay, and you call it discount method. Of course, you need age and gender, and here also you need age and gender. Cool. So run this. So you can see this customer init 34F, customer init 2421M. So you can create this, but you don't want to create this. What you want is you want a separate method for preferred customer. So how do I do that? So you define underscore init, and here you are taking email address and mobile number, right? So WA number, that is WhatsApp number, and email. So with this, and what you do, self dot email equals WA number, oops, email, and self dot mobile equals WA number. And here you will say preferred customer init. What's happening? Preferred customer init. Okay. So now, when actually I don't have my own init method, my parent was giving me that init method. But when I have one, then my parent will not provide me one. Okay, my parent will not provide me that. So here you go. So I have to pass a number here and email address. Okay, and run. I don't have discount method, so discount method will be still provided by my parent, but I will be able to see this preferred customer init, email address, and mobile number. Good with that? So that's a parent. And can I have the discount method with a newer discount? Of course you can. So you can actually copy paste the method discount, and here what will happen, you say preferred customer as 3% discount. Now a magic happens. Now up to this point, whenever you're calling discount method, it was calling parents. But now you have the same method exist in your jurisdiction. So your method will get called. This process, when you have an exact same method available in the child class, is called as, anybody know? Overriding. This is called as overriding. Okay, override the method in customer. So you are overriding that method. So now the customer method is no longer accessible to you. Although you can call it, and there is a way to do it, we're going to learn that tomorrow. So now if I run this class, I'll get preferred customer as 3% discount. Got it? So now you have customer, no discount for him, preferred customer also created, and 3% discount. But I'm missing my age, I'm missing my gender. That is bad. Can I take those also? Yes, you can. So you can take those. So suppose you are taking age and gender. And how do I process them? Because I already have a constructor which can process age and gender. So I don't have to again call self dot age and again do this. That will be like violation, right? Reusability violation. I'm rewriting the same code. So instead, you can call this particular function. How do you call parents class init function? You do that with the help of parent class name. So what you do, you say parent class name and say I need init function. And in init function, you pass what are the parameters you need. You need self, you need age, and you need gender. Correct? So now what will happen? First, initialization of a parent class happens. And then later you have your own parameters working. Cool with that? So let's do that right away. Okay, two missing parameters because you are not passing it. So pass them. So now you have 34 comma f and then your mobile number and further. So now you have, see this customer init 34f and then preferred customer and then you have discount. Cool with this? So you can call your parent class constructor with the help of parent class name and then calling the constructor with appropriate parameters. Cool with that? So this is enough for one day. We saw advanced functions. We saw the classes and functions. We saw that. We saw global scope. Okay, and we also saw what is inheritance. We understood the concept. Then understood what is constructor. Understood how do we create a child class and how child class works with respect to creation of instances. Okay, how child class get access to the variables and methods of parent class, and how do we call constructor of a parent class. Good with that? Awesome. So we're going to stop here and we're going to continue tomorrow. We'll take a deep dive here. This is not enough. So we have more actually where we'll take a deep dive into further functions. We'll actually create one more layer, and Python is much complex in there. Python is very likely like Python is similar to C++ with respect to inheritance is concerned. So we can create multi-child and multi-parent inheritances. Okay, so that we're gonna understand tomorrow. So that being said, we are stopping here and we'll continue tomorrow. Okay, so I will be submitting the code at the same link. Follow that, download that, and check if you are able to what I can understand it. If you have any questions, the first 5 minutes we will take the questions only. Okay, so I stop here and let's continue tomorrow. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a good one. Enjoy your time. Bye bye.